Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, gunner, co-pilot, and overall good buddy, Jacob Goth. How are you doing today, Jake?
I'm well. I'm excited because we're back to normal.
Yeah. No more, improv. No more extra super long episodes.
Yeah.
Just back.
It's nice. Oh my god. Gonna have like a nice, I don't have to talk as much. This is great. I love it.
Well,
this is brilliant.
Let's not go that far, because
oh god,
this idea that I've had, I don't have a name for it yet, but it is not the most developed idea I've had for a series.
Sick.
My creative juices are a little drained after last week's kind of blowout, you know?
Oh, okay. Nice excuse.
That's my excuse that I'm choosing for this time.
Okay.
So he
had an extra like 3 or 4 days to make this as well.
I did. I don't know. Time flies by. I'm working. I'm sunburnt, as you can see. I'm red. They can't see, but you can see.
I am.
Yeah. So the idea I came up with was a pulp, noir show set in a superhero universe. Does that make sense?
Pulp noir show in a superhero universe. What do you mean by pulp noir?
Like a classy, old timey. He's a private eye, and he's working, finding cheating husbands, doing all that sort of thing, and damsel in distress. That sort of 1950s noir film aesthetic, but applied to magical, mystical, superhero-filled world.
Is the show in black and white, or is it just like a dark color palette?
I think maybe we do the final episode in black and white, because I have an idea for the final episode.
Okay, all right.
So,
an idea for the final episode? No other ideas?
I have an idea for the first episode and an idea for the last episode.
Very reasonable pilots podcast. So you need at least the pilot.
A very reasonable finales podcast. Hello, everyone. So our main character, Oscar Lunka, as you may remember, Oscar is the name I've used before, but I like it a lot. It's Oscar, but instead of C, it's a K, because that's how they spell it up in.
There's a famous soccer player that spelled it like that.
In Sweden. Is he from Sweden? Or is he from Spain?
I think he's from a Scandinavian country, so maybe it's Sweden.
He's not from Madrid?
No.
Good. Now, our main character, Oscar, not that there's anything wrong with Madrid, of course. I've never been, but I would love to go. Beautiful weather, and lots of lovely different kinds of alcoholic beverage.
I heard they got a good ham museum there.
Oh, they have a ham museum? Do they have samples?
I don't think it's a museum. I don't know. Someone just told me if I'm ever in Madrid to go to the ham museum and get a ham.
They better have some ham I can eat if there's.
I think so.
Good. So Oscar Lunka, we get sidetracked so easily. He's Can
we do a pitch about a ham museum?
We could do an episode set in a ham museum.
Oh my god.
Because Oscar Lunka is an occult detective in this superhero-filled world. Okay. So he's like a John Constantine, Hellboy style. He goes around New York City. It's set in New York City because everything's set in New York City.
Yeah.
He goes around New York and surrounding areas and, fights ghosts and, deals with possessions, performs exorcisms, that sort of thing. He's drunk. He's got a dark past. He's slow to anger, but he's also very slow to trust. And his biggest flaw, I would say, is that he can be extraordinarily selfish at times. And that's where most of his heartbreak in life has come from.
Yeah.
Is him being selfish, and he thinks like, oh, this is going to work out for me, and then it just doesn't, because helping other people is a good thing, man. Know what I'm talking about? And he's got laser eyes.
Oh, okay.
This is This is Oscar Lunka's thing. It's his gimmick.
I'm surprised you didn't lead with the laser eyes.
I think we should. I like the name. I led with the name, and then we end with the laser eyes because that's the best thing about him. He's got laser eyes, and it's not like Cyclops laser eyes where he can't control it. He's got to wear big dumb glasses or whatever. He's got like Superman laser eyes where he can turn it on and off and like change the different like heat levels, so he could like cut a guy's arm off or like heat up a bowl of soup for an old woman if need be. He probably wouldn't do that because he's not a nice person, but he could be like, oh, the coffee's cold. Zzz. All right, now the coffee's warm again.
That'd be sick.
But he doesn't have any other superpowers. He doesn't have super strength or senses or whatever. He can't even particularly see very well. He's got like glasses, and he's got this thing where he is constantly like, I don't need glasses, I have fucking laser eyes. My eyes are the best part about me. And then there's like, he puts on his reading glasses to read, and he's constantly breaking his glasses because he's shooting lasers through them because he forgets that he's wearing them, and he's like, this cup of coffee needs to be warmed up. Fuck! My glasses are melted. That's another one on a pile, and then we cut. There's a, on his floor, there's this pile of, glasses with holes melted into the glass. I think that would be fine. But our episode 1 starts pilot. There's an old house being haunted.
Okay.
The person who owns this old house is an old friend, and by old friend I mean she is the elderly mother of an old friend of his who is now dead.
Is he like immortal or something, or
Oscar? No.
Or his old friend just died of being killed or something?
Yeah, his friend died. Maybe his friend was also a occult related person, so maybe he died.
Shit, it's like the beginning of Blade Runner.
Yeah, he got sucked.
They're like, you gotta send that guy on the job. Well, I would, but he's dead.
But he goes to this friend, the mom of his dead friend, and he's like, he thinks when he gets there, he's like, there's a ghost around here, and she's talking to him and explaining all of the things about the ghost, and he's like, ghost, he keeps moving my keys into my refrigerator and like moving things without me being there and blah 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 blah, and like it becomes pretty clear relatively fast to Oscar that this woman is just kind of going through the stages of dementia, and like she's falling deeper and deeper into dementia, and he's like, I don't know what to do because it's not like I can. What am I? She doesn't have any money. I don't have any money. Where am I gonna take her? I just have to leave her here or whatever. And she was like, well, you please stay the night. And he stays the night. They have a nice dinner together. It's rather lovely. Then maybe some sad shit happens towards the end of the night, where like she wakes up in the middle of the night and like walks into the front room and sees him sleeping on a couch and like starts hitting him with a broom because she's like, I don't know who you are, why are you in my house, or blah blah blah, whatever, and you're just kind of hammering home that she is having some problems with her memory and her mind's leaving her nowadays. And as Oscar's going back to sleep, he's just like, he doesn't know what he's gonna do about it, and he falls asleep, and while he's asleep, deep in deep dreams, he has these like visions of devils and like gore and horror and fire and all this sort of stuff. He's like, well, shit, maybe there is something in this house, because those kinds of mind visions don't just happen apropos. Something.
So he only has those when he's in like a house that's haunted or near a ghost or something.
If I'm in the jacket that a man died in, I'm gonna have the flashbacks to him being like murdered while I'm asleep, because he's like tapped into the spiritual world, man. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I don't know what to do, because it seems like it's just this old woman being dementia filled, and he maybe spends the rest of the day like doing up every trick he can think of. He's lining all the doorways with salt, he's putting rice on the ground, he's like hanging things and like all this sorts of stuff to keep spirits and ghosts away. And he's like, all right, Nana, or whatever he calls her, I am gonna go because I got a butt ton of work to do. While you're, I want you to stay here, stay safe, and all this stuff. And he leaves and goes back home. He starts getting ahead on one of the cases he's working, maybe about a cheating husband or a detective, or something else, because he's got to take those kinds of jobs to pay the bills. But he's really interested in occult phenomena. And he goes to sleep. Maybe we see some news. I want to kind of slip it in slyly that this is a superhero filled world, and in the next episode we'll kind of explore that more. But
okay.
On the news we'll see a guy lifting a truck with his hand or something like that. And
that's real sly of you, Charles.
Well, we're not gonna focus. It's not like we'll zoom in. We'll just do a match shot to the first issue of Superman ever. You know that one?
Yeah,
where the guy's going like a guy's doing the Home Alone face as he's looking at the camera. We'll do that.
Superman could only jump.
Yeah, Superman could only jump and could lift like a car. Superman could lift so many cars now. How many cars does Superman lift? Probably all of them. Superman could lift all the cars in the world, I bet.
Yeah, there was one where he bench pressed the weight of the world, so I think he's probably good.
He definitely would lift all the cars in the world.
All right, so he's at his apartment. He saw it on TV.
He sees the super stuff on TV, but it's not really, it's not really what's going on with him. He, maybe goes out on the porch, has a cigarette, and we look out at this, big crazy world in New York. There's all sorts of super beings flying through the air. Maybe you know what? I think it would be good if Oscar Lunka lived in a kind of a magical area of New York. So his next door neighbor is a centaur. The tenants are all these different kinds of magical beings. Because in superhero land, that's not that crazy.
Yeah.
In real life, seeing a big centaur man living next to you, that's crazy. And they'd probably be like, okay, you can only go in this section of the city or this section of the city, you can't go other places. Then superhero land, when the Hulk is running around getting medals and, all that sort of stuff, that's not very, surprising. So I think it's just kind of low rent housing for, specially built for, supernatural beings.
God, it's like, how they do handicap buildings?
Yeah.
It's like a centaur accessible building.
Or maybe it's we got centaur-sized toilets. They can't fit in a normal man toilet. You look at that man.
Those bathrooms are huge. Maybe just a joke could be our character Oscar. He lives in a centaur accessible apartment, and the bathroom's fucking huge.
Maybe there's normal stall, handicap stall, centaur stall, and they open it and it's basically just a giant, it's like a gym shower room. And there's just go wherever. It's fine. There's a guy with a broom. He's like, I just sweep it all in the middle. I hit it with the hose. And it goes away. Yeah, I think that'd be good. Because I think this show should be, comical and fun. I think, Oscar's having a cigarette at the top of his building. He's seeing all this crazy stuff. Maybe his next door neighbor, a fairy or a nymph, shows up and bums a cigarette off of him, but she's
really small, so it's a huge cigarette.
She's 2 feet tall at the most, and she's flying through the air, so it's she's got to hold the cigarette with her whole hand, go that sort of thing.
And she only does a puff or something, and she's just gone.
Yeah, she does a puff, and then she's
rush.
and just starts coughing. And I think she can be a reoccurring character. I haven't really thought of any characters besides Oscar, but she could be a reoccurring character because the main thrust of this series involves a human, quote-unquote human trafficking ring, but they're trafficking nymphs and fairies and other, specifically female magical creatures, that sort of thing. And so maybe this nymph, who is his, neighbor, is kind of his connection to that world, and maybe she can talk to him about like, oh yeah, my sister's coming in to town next week, I'm really excited to see her, blah 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 blah. And he's like, oh, that's great. Then he goes to sleep. Everything seems fine with the world. Everything's cool. He wakes up, and he goes to visit Mama, and he finds that her house is burnt down.
Oh.
Every house around her, because she lived in New York City, none of the houses around her caught fire at all. So it was just her house that burned down. Everything else is perfectly, safe.
Sounds like it's magic related.
And the fire department's like, yeah, we got these new kinds of walls put in a few years ago. They helped kind of block the fire from moving from one place to another. But I've never seen it work this good, They said they're really doing a good job here. And our guy's like, Oscar's like, yeah, okay. Do we know how this fire started? And I was like, yeah, she was smoking a cigarette or whatever, and she left it like out on her bed. She was smoking a cigarette in bed, and she fell asleep with the cigarette on the blanket, and she caught on fire. Went up like a match. And he's like, huh.
She doesn't smoke.
Well, maybe like she was. That's weird. I never saw her smoke. Or maybe it was like she made a point of like, I only smoke outside. I don't smoke inside because I don't want to. No smoking.
Oh
inside.
Yeah, maybe at some point he could light a cigarette in the house, and she'd be like, no, outside, smoke outside. And
she like joins him, but she's like, we smoke outside here. We don't smoke inside. And so he is suspicious of all of this shenanigans,
Yeah.
And then, but he's like, well, everything's gone. There's nowhere to investigate. Everything caught on fire. There doesn't appear to be any remnants of any of the magical artifacts I left around here to like keep demons and ghosts away. Yeah. So I think, that, and then he's doing some investigating. He's like looking into different leads. Maybe he does like a seance. I think it could be a good final scene of the episode if he's like meeting up with a friend of his who does, speaking with ghosts and shit, and he does a seance and he finds out that, I'm not really sure how this should end now that I've said it, because I was thinking at the beginning, I'll just make it so that she was possessed the whole time. So there wasn't a ghost in the house. There was a ghost in her, but it was good enough at like but I don't know if that's a good enough ending, and if it should just be like, well, yeah, I forgot my own rule, didn't I? And it's just like, yeah, well, sometimes it's not magic, sometimes it's just a dementia-ridden old woman. But that is the pilot, so I think we should do a magical ending for the pilot.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe. How does this connect to the larger story? Is it not?
It's not really. That's not really the. Yeah, it's not really. Just, introducing different reoccurring characters, like the woman that he gets to help with the seance, and the nymph next door neighbor, and maybe his landlord, and all these people. Just kind of introducing, and like, the world. And I think episode 2, that would be really what it's about, is introducing the greater world and the greater like story, like seasonal arc, which would be again about a nymph trafficking ring that's like they're stealing them from all over the magical world, going to different parts of, maybe this could be in the same series as, what was that? New Atlantis, or Journey for Atlantis?
Journey to Atlantis.
Journey
for Atlantis. They're not journeying for it. They're journeying to it, Charles. Jeez.
Yeah, they're capturing these nymphs from all over, like different parts of the magical world, and shipping them in to be used by human companies for basically it's like they're making perfume and like shampoo and stuff.
Oh shit! And it's just like really good for that or something.
Yeah, and the nymphs are like, well, we need to get all the, how Tinkerbell, you shake Tinkerbell and all the pixie dust comes off.
Yeah.
Like that, but they like stick him in one of those pasta makers.
Oh, and it's like squeeze it out of him.
Yeah, they squeeze it out of him, and that sort of thing. And it's, horrific. And it's just Oscar Lee. Oscar Lee is our other character. Oscar Lunka. Doing this.
Maybe it could be like a de-aging cream or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's
to make you look younger. Mm-hmm. And that could be, maybe in the first episode, you could see an advertisement for it on the TV. Maybe not even see it, just like hear it in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe
like leading up like to before he like learns that it's the de-aging cream. Mm-hmm. That you could just subtly place like advertisements for it throughout the show, like maybe like a poster or like a billboard in the background, or like a radio advertisement or something.
Yeah.
Just like subtly dropping it throughout the thing so people get the idea that, not like oversaturating it, like I don't want to, not like every frame has has it in it, it's like very clear, but like just like little
we don't want to Resident
throughout.
Evil this, because that's one of my biggest complaints about Resident Evil, is that there's just one company and they're the bad guys and they're responsible for everything bad. I think we got to make like, our de-aging cream. What's a good de-aging fountain?
De-aging fountain? What? Like you want a name?
Yeah, name for the the corporation. Who's that god? There was like that guy who was obsessed with his own mirror, and he,
No, that was I thought that was the dude that became the flower, right? And was staring in the water, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking. There's like a Greek god. This is not related to our show.
But we know this is what we're calling the cream, so it matters.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I think we should call the cream like probably youth in Latin or something. Pixology.
Narcissus.
Narcissus. Yeah.
Obviously, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. How about we call the cream Narcium?
Well, yeah, but there's a flower that I believe.
That's Entangled. You're thinking about the movie Tangled?
In the myth, he gets turned into a flower in the end, I believe.
Okay, and we eat the flower. Maybe that could be the commercial. You know how perfume companies and all that, they always have super like smug commercials where they get like Johnny Depp to dig his own grave and then he takes off all his rings and then he's like, I wish I smelled better. And then they, throw some Johnny Depp stank at him or whatever.
Yeah, that was weird.
Weird.
That commercial is kind of strange. Narcissus is the name of the flower, unfortunately, so I guess we could call it Narcissus.
Narcissium.
Also works, yeah.
Yeah, Narcissium. Because Narcissium.
That
there
works.
We go,
Narcissium is the cream, and the company that makes it is Parliament, like the cigarette company.
I like that. That's good. I dig it. All right, and I want this show to kind of have like a fun vibe. So we're gonna have a Halloween episode, and we're gonna have a Christmas episode.
Okay.
I don't have any ideas for what's happening on those. I think the Halloween episode is like, kids doing.
I'm not really getting a fun vibe from this show so far, so I don't know how you're twisting it for a Halloween and a Christmas episode.
I think
you have like a depressed detective, and we're talking about human trafficking of nymphs, so they can be used in beauty products.
Yeah, but you got to have some comedy to level out the tragedy. I think maybe in this magical apartment complex, all the kids dress up like magical kids dress up like famous humans.
Oh, okay.
Because all the kids are dressing up like monsters, and so the monster kids are just like, I went for Halloween. I went as Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.
And someone's like, I went as the dude that made Post-it notes.
I went as Che Guevara. I went as Simon Cowell. I went as the scariest person of all, Adolf Hitler. And there's a kid in a little Hitler costume.
It's like a centaur, but like in a that's like a baby centaur in a Hitler costume. You're like, this is strange. Okay.
They're like, whoa, where'd you get those pants made? They've got all the Nazi stuff on them, but they have 4 little legs for them. Yeah. We definitely just didn't have those already. turns out
Hitler was actually a centaur. You know that?
Turns out there's a huge white supremacist community within the centaur community.
Yeah, that's a big subgroup.
Yeah.
So,
and last but not least, I think.
Okay.
We finish our human trafficking storyline on the second to last episode, I think.
Oh, all right.
You know, and we get it all figured out. We get the people freed. You know, the bad guy goes down at least as much as he can in this kind of show. And our final
Parliament's
episode,
getting sued. That's probably what it'd be.
Parliament's getting sued. But our
Government's
final episode, black and white, classic noir style, you know, damsel in distress, sultry dame, all these things, and it's a musical.
This show goes everywhere, Charles.
I know.
You're really trying to get everything in one show.
I want a musical episode, because musical episodes are fun. Everybody loves a good musical episode, even of a show that's not good.
I'm trying to think of like how you can incorporate both the serious and joking elements into one show.
I think
I feel like that'd be difficult. You'd probably have to animate this show.
Yeah,
because animation is just funnier.
Yeah,
and
right.
I feel like in animation it's easier to do serious and joking at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And I think it all revolves around whoever plays Oscar Lunka. He's got to be
a really strong,
you know,
lead who's funny and also can be serious.
He can be tragic and funny and yeah, all that stuff. But I think that's pretty. Yeah, that's about all I have.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a landlord. There's an episode where he like goes up against his landlord. Turns out his landlord is a succubus, who is, you know, getting energy from taking all the tenants' money when they don't have any. That sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the landlord can be like Charon from Greek myth, and he's like 1 drachma, and you have to give him 1 drachma, and it's like, you know, that's not a lot of money now, right? So, you know,
but he's like, well, you see, the building's rent controlled, so I can't really do anything.
Yeah.
It's been rent controlled since 12 AD.
But when did that Jesus guy show up? Yeah, a little bit before then. Yeah, just a little.
That's when they instituted the,
You know that Constantinople guy? Constantine.
The dude. No, not like the place, like the guy, the person.
Like the guy, you know, They Might Be Giants song. Everyone knows that song. Yeah, he lived here, rent controlled. It was a bitch. That's all. And our Charon character can be like this New York City style, like he's a cabbie. It's like, yeah, it was a fucking nightmare. I think that'd be good.
You should have been here before the Europeans came over. It was so much better.
I was getting laid all the time.
None of this big smog.
None of these
people weren't
white
assholes.
People. All these white people come over, they fuck everything up. Why don't they stay over there? And where do white people come from? Antarctica.
That's what he says, yeah. Antarctica or something, I don't know.
Something, I don't fucking know. I just drive places. He can be our taxi
why
character.
do you have an Italian accent, by the way?
Because fuck you, that's why. Huh? How about you go fuck yourself? And he can be Oscar's like drive, and he like ride places, and he's just a big skeleton man. He's like way too big for his taxi. He's just kind of shoved in there.
He's like all hunched in. Yeah, his shoulders are up by where his ears are.
And no matter how long he drives you, he can only charge 1 drachma.
That's just fucking wrong.
That's his price. He's like, well, I don't have a drachma. Here's a quarter, buddy. Have a good one. Yeah, I think that'd be good. All right, well, unless you have any other ideas, I'm gonna bring us out.
No, I got nothing.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles Lung, and with me as always has been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, and gunner, Jacob Cloth. You can find me at twitter.com at Charles_Lungs. And you can find the podcast at VRP Podcast on twitter.com. Thank you very much. Tell your friends, subscribe, leave a like. And don't forget that if this video on YouTube gets 100,000 views and likes, only 100,000 views and likes, everyone
exactly
who watches
too.
it
Anything
has
over,
to like.
that's a problem.
We will do every single episode of the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast on vinyl.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we'll get it printed. You know what? First, okay. If this video gets 100,000 likes, we will do a stream where we go through every idea we've pitched throughout the last year.
No.
A fine-tooth comb.
We didn't talk about this beforehand. The answer is no.
Yeah, 100,000, and Jake has to do it.
No, that's not how it works.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.